This is Charter Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance in San Luis Obispo today, and we are speaking with Lois Capps. We're in her district. She is a member of the United States Congress, and you really engaged in quite a trek up and down the Central Coast recently. It was your water tour, and we know we don't have enough water.
Yes.
And so I thought what we'd do is talk about the sites that you visited. You started in the south, and you went to the future Santa Barbara desalination plant. Very exciting.
Very exciting to see firsthand a topic that's been visited and revisited in many of our Central Coast communities because of the shortage of water that we've known for some time now.
I must ask you about this specific plant because, as you know, you've been around long enough to know, as a resident of Santa Barbara, that desal plant had been online for a very brief time in the 90s.
Right.
And then we got some rain and it went offline.
Yes.
Boy, I wish we hadn't taken it offline.
And that's the lesson learned.
Right.
That's how we learn in a democracy.
Right.
We do things and we realize in hindsight maybe to do them differently in the future. And this will happen now. The desalination plant has been authorized. The city will foot the bill, and our water costs will go up, but it will be an insurance policy for the future.
And you're confident that if we get the monster El Nino folks believe we may get this winter, that the desal plant won't fall out of favor? I mean, I know you're not a mayor of Santa Barbara, but
it actually won't be ready for about a year.
Right, that I know.
So that's one of the other reasons we need to do it now, because we now have been forewarned that these periods of drought and then followed by rain are more condensed.
Right.
So
it's important to keep up.
We need to be prepared.
What'd you think?
What's that Boy Scout motto? Always be prepared.
Exactly. So what'd you think of the site?
Oh, well, it's very impressive.
Right.
And they're using state-of-the-art. One thing that has happened, so many parts of the world now are following this route as their water source, that the technology is much better. And so they won't go back to the same old plans. They will upgrade them. It will be a very much more sophisticated and efficient system. Key,
efficient, energy efficient, because desal can use a lot of energy.
That's right, and this is much lower use of energy, they tell me, than would have been if they had kept the old one going.
Then you went up the coast a bit and you went into Goleta, and you went to a water recycling plant.
Yes.
Tell us about that visit.
The city of Goleta has developed a very sophisticated water reclamation, recycling part of their sewer system, actually, where they can purify the water to distilled water quality.
It gives people the EBGBs, but the reality is, I mean, look, it's purified, like you said.
And we have to now begin to phase in the ways that this can be used as part of our water supply, freeing up drinking water, doing a number of things.
So this is not toilet to tap water. This will be used for other purposes.
That's a phrase I know because I tried it, and they said, "Oh no, we don't talk that way."
What do they call it?
Well, it's water reclamation.
Right.
It's all water. It's a drop of water. If it starts in a cloud, it runs the full circle.
And so, do you see recycling as part of the grand solution? We've talked desal. How does recycling play into this?
Oh, I believe, and it's backed up by science, that there are many reuses of water. And moving on as we did to visit a farm.
Yes, let's go to that place. Let's go there next.
That's one of the uses.
And so you went to the Santa Barbara blueberry farm. It sounds absolutely charming. Just tell me about that.
Well, there's a story I used to read to my kids and then to my grandkids, Blueberries for Sal. And she goes blueberry picking with her mother. And this is a farm where they're all there in a row, and people can come and pick.
Don't you have grandkids?
Yes, I do.
Were they there today?
No, they weren't.
Oh, shoot. They're
not in town. That's a future trip.
A future trip for sure.
And his use, the farmer's use of sustainability with the natural resources. He uses soil amendments, for example, that strengthen the capacity of the soil to absorb water and not allow it to be wasted.
What about irrigation? Is it the drip irrigation that's become very popular?
Oh, they don't waste any water with that either. And they learn the times of day to water.
Right.
They learn how much water to use. They don't overwater.
Right. So tell me what the proprietor said to you, because this has to be a nerve-wracking time for farmers up and down the Central Coast.
Well, thanks to our educational institutions like Cal Poly, UC Davis, our community college, yes, our community colleges too, that have really delved into the science of farming. They are very sophisticated about it, and they want to make sure they do it in a responsible way for the sake of their future.
What's interesting is I was reading a report came out that the agriculture industry actually did well in 2014. When you think about the efficiencies that have come online, even though fields were fallowed and sub-jobs were temporarily suspended, they're still managing, our friends and neighbors in ag, to make it work.
Oh yes, because they know now about microclimates.
Right.
They know all kinds of things that would put the rest of us to shame in terms of the technology for how to get a better yield.
You then moved into San Luis Obispo County, way north. You went to Cambria. What a beautiful site that must have been. But behind that beauty was some sites that were a little disappointing and discouraging. Tell us what you saw.
We saw a challenge.
Right.
And this is God's country, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Well stated. No, well stated.
And even in the thickest of the forest scene, Supervisor Gibson was talking about this.
Bruce
He
Gibson
was there, and we saw where it's not managed well, and how hard it is, even if there is a fire, God forbid, the firefighters would have a hard time getting in. Where it's managed and the trees are thinned, the dying trees are removed to make room. We saw little tiny growth coming in, so you see the way the forest can be.
But we talk about the dying trees, they're dying for a reason. We've seen the drought, we've seen increased temperatures, which is fertile breeding ground for a certain type of beetle that is attacking those trees.
Yes.
And the trees are literally perishing before your very eyes.
Yes. Again, I turn to the scientists. I turn to the Cal Poly students who are figuring out ways to strengthen the trees, to put additives into making sure they're stronger. Maybe also we need to be looking at different kinds of plants that that will survive more.
And this begs the question. You're a member of the U.S. Congress, and Congress has been fighting over the question of how to help California with the drought.
Well, there's a bill that I'm hoping we can push forward, and it's the Drought Relief and Resilience Act. It was introduced in the House of Representatives by my colleague from Northern California, Jared Huffman. Senator Feinstein has something similar in the Senate, and it would help us to look longer term that this cycle of drought is going to be repeating itself.
Is Dianne Feinstein really the last best hope for a bipartisan solution? Because she does seem to be one that works fairly well across the aisle, and you know, your colleagues, your friends in the Republican caucus in California just seem to have a different view.
Well, we've got to learn to pull together. Some of my colleagues in the Central Valley who happen to be on the other side of the aisle, I know where they like to come for their vacation.
San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara.
And Cambria.
And Cambria.
Cayucas.
Right, exactly.
So we're all in this together in the state. And why should this be a partisan issue?
But do you feel as if the entire California delegation's in this together? You really
that's
feel
our
as
goal.
If, because it is.
It has to be, because you know, as we are suffering in on the west coast and even inland west, there are parts of the country getting deluged with rain.
Her name is Lois Capps. She is a member of the U.S. Congress. My name is Brad Pomerance. In San Luis Obispo, this is Charter Local Edition.